Okay, good morning. Take two. Hopefully this one will work. There it is. Guess my Wi-Fi wasn't connected yet, but it seems to be working now. Okay, cool. Sorry for any confusion. All right, let me close that out. All right, so good morning. Happy Sunday. Happy Memorial Day weekend. Unofficial kickoff to summer, though it doesn't feel like it at all. I just put a playlist if you guys want to listen along. Just looking to see on underneath the picture I posted yesterday and under this live feed right now. Morning, Jen. Not a beach day today, huh? All right. So funny thing, when I was working on the playlist throughout the week, I was like, oh, Memorial Day weekend, unofficial kickoff to summer, especially in this Jersey Shore area. So I kind of themed it out with all these songs about like summer and the sun and the beach. And maybe I jinxed us. I think the forecast wasn't good for a while, but I was hoping maybe it would change things up a little bit, and it has not. So maybe Mother Nature will tune in with us and turn it around for tomorrow, hopefully. But either way, regardless of the weather, it doesn't affect us for our indoor yoga practice today. So thank you for joining me. We're starting in Shavasana today. So if you want to, yeah, definitely no beach day. If you want to go ahead and lie down on your backs, we are going to start in Shavasana. We're going to start in just a few more moments. Get anyone else a chance who wants to log on live with us to log in and get settled in. And then we'll start on our backs. And I will meet you there in just a few moments. But thank you guys for joining me, whether it's Sunday morning or any other time throughout the week. Appreciate you being here. My name's Erica. If you don't know me, I will be guiding you through your yoga practice. We're starting in Shavasana today, so that means we're just lying down comfortably on our backs in whatever variation of that pose your body wants to take today. And once you're there, you can just close your eyes and settle in. I will be joining you there in just a moment. If you're listening along, I'm going to start our playlist very quietly here in the background just to kind of keep pace. You guys can start whatever music you want or not at all, whatever your preference is today. But I was just saying, it's been a bit of a wash, well, more than a bit of a wash this Memorial Day weekend, but hopefully it's given you an opportunity to maybe slow down a little bit, maybe to be productive, get some things done, hopefully to reflect on the holiday, what it's really about, and give you that opportunity to reflect on all the things that you have to be grateful for. So I want you all to take a moment right now before we start moving, just to bring something into your heart and into your mind that you feel gratitude for. Doesn't matter what it is. It can be something really small and simple. It can be something more grand and large scale. It's completely personal. If you take a few moments each day just to establish a gratitude practice, science has proven that it can literally rewire your brains and make you happier and healthier. And if you've taken my class, you've probably heard me say that before, because it's such a simple thing to do. Even when times are tough, we all have much to be grateful for. So just take a moment here. Again, bringing something into the heart, into the mind that you feel grateful for, that you're thankful for. And I'm going to meet you lying down on my back, finding that Shavasana, and just tapping into the breath and settling in for a few more moments before we invite any movements into our practice. Good, trying to find a variation of this pose that will allow you to find some stillness. Try not to fidget or move too much, taking just a few more breaths. Maybe deepen the breath for the last few here. Taking nice full inhales and completely releasing that breath. Letting it all go, but slowly and controlled. Maybe you just woke up. Maybe you've already had a busy morning. So we all want to meet in this space Taking just a few moments to find our center, to find some calm. To maybe take like a little scan of how you're feeling today. Let's take one more full breath. Nice deep inhale. Fill all the way up. And slow and controlled full exhale, letting out all of that breath. Let's just hug the knees into the chest. So bringing a bend into the legs, wrapping the arms around them, squeezing the legs closer to the body. Good. Compressing everything here for just a moment. And then you can release the arms down by the side of the body and straighten the legs up high to the sky, 90 degrees. It's okay if there's a little bend in the legs. There certainly is in mine. But start to flex the feet so the toes come back toward the face. Top body's fully relaxed and connected. Good. Maybe start to move the feet by pointing and flexing the toes or circling out the ankles. Maybe pedaling one at a time, getting those pops and cracks out. Good. You'll maybe even feel the lower abs start to engage as you hold the legs up. Let's take one more breath here. Good. And you're going to bend the legs, planting the heels just behind the sits bones. Bent legs, knees close together. And we're going to lift the hips as we draw the shoulder blades a little closer underneath the back for a bridge pose. So really pressing through the heels, but keeping the full foot connected. See if you can lift a little bit higher. Make sure there's space between the chin and the chest for your air to flow freely. Very slowly and controlled, start to lower out of this bridge pose. Once your glutes hit the ground, legs slowly extend back up to that waterfall. Good. Settle in. Again, feel free to move the feet and the ankles. Or find stillness, whatever feels good for you. Good. Think about maybe even flexing the feet, really drawing the toes back toward the face. Maybe the legs are a little bit straighter this time. Maybe they're not. Listen to your body. Honor where it is. Do not force anything. Good. Take a few more breaths, and we're going to find that bridge pose one more time. So very slowly and with control once more, let's bend the legs, lower the soles of the feet to the ground. Once they're there, you can shimmy your shoulder blades a little bit closer underneath your back as you lift your hips up high to the sky. Good, pressing through the heels. See if you can lift a little bit higher. Good, let's lift up slightly higher for the final breath here. And once more, slowly and controlled, we lower the glutes back to the ground. Let's hug the knees back into the chest. Top body can still stay connected to the earth. Gotta give the legs a nice little squeeze. And I want you to grab the right knee with the right hand, left knee with the left hand, maybe even hands to the inside as you gently part the knees like you're opening the pages of a book for our reclined malasana, our supine prayer squat. So just getting a nice gentle stretch into the inner thighs. Don't put too much pressure, just enough on the knees to open them, using our own weight and strength to get a little bit deeper into these stretches. Good. Again, if you want to roll out the ankles here, you can. So let's take our final full breath here. Take a nice deep inhale. And exhale. Draw the knees back together. We're going to take a spinal twist. Right hand to the outside of the left knee. Left arm extends out to a T if you have the space. As you guide both knees over to the right. Gentle gaze off that left arm. Good. Twisting from the core. Trying to get a little bit deeper in this twist with each exhale. I like to have my eyes closed. Even though my gaze is in the direction of the left arm, the eyes are closed. Make sure that your shoulders are not popping up off the mat. If they are, back off of the twist a little bit. And then very slowly and with control, let's release the grip with the right hand, extend it out long. Use the core to bring the knees through center, dropping them over to the left. Left hand reaches for the outer edge of the right knee, gazes off the right arm. And settle in here for a few breaths. Make sure that right shoulder is not lifting. If it is, back off with a twist. Using that left hand just to gently wring it out like you're wringing out a sponge. Twisting in opposite directions. And then releasing the hand grip once more slowly with control, bringing the knees back through center. This time you can wrap the arms around if you want. Let's take a rock up and down the length of our mats. You can take as many as you want, but you really only need to take one to get up. And we're going to come right over into a tabletop whenever you're ready. So in tabletop, we're going to be on all fours on our hands and knees, making sure our fingers are nice and spread and our wrists are in a straight line down from the shoulder. So we're not leaning back, we're not leaning forward, it's a straight line down. Same thing with the knees underneath the hips. Knees are about inner hips width or 2 fists width distance apart. Okay, we're going to start like we often do with some cat-cows, just moving the spine. So on your next inhale breath, drop the belly, lift the gaze, maybe even tuck the toes. Good. And on the exhale, if the toes are tucked, untuck them, press through the palms as you round your spine high to the sky and the gaze comes inward. Inhale, drop the belly, lift the gaze, tuck the toes, or I should say, yeah, tuck them. Good. Press through those palms, spine rounds high to the sky, untuck the toes. Good, meeting back in that neutral spine. We're going to get into the shoulders a little bit here. So inhale, right arm comes up high to the sky. If you want to move the wrist around a little bit, you can. On your next exhale breath, we'll float that arm down to thread the needle. So right hand comes between left hand and left knee onto that right shoulder and that right cheek. Gentle pressure on that right shoulder if that's okay for you. And then you have the option to stay right here if this feels okay. You can also extend that left hand to the top left corner of your mat. And then one final option, it's completely optional. When I say option, I truly mean it. If you want to find a little bit of balance, you can extend that left leg, but make sure that it's just hip height. Toes are flexed down, hip flexor is facing the mat. Feel that glute engage. Get a little more pressure here on the shoulders. So if you have any shoulder problems, this might not be your best option. But if you are balanced, let's take one more full breath here. And then slowly we'll lower the left knee back to meet the right. If you walk the fingertips out, plant that palm underneath the shoulder as you press through it to lift that right arm back up high to the sky. This time, if you want to take some circles on that shoulder, you can take some big arm circles here, maybe just a few in both directions to loosen up that joint. Good. And then when you're ready, we'll meet back in our tabletop to go through our second side. Inhale, left arm comes up high to the sky. If you took some wrist circles on the first side, you can do it here again on the second. Really just trying to open up all those joints. And your next exhale breath floats that left hand down between the right hand and right knee, coming onto your left shoulder and your left cheek. Hips stay high away from the heels. Good. And as always, you can stay right here if that's getting you a nice stretch in that shoulder. If you did so on the first side, you can extend that right hand this time to the top right corner of your mat. Good. Let's not rush anything. And then final piece, only if you took it on the first side, extend that right leg, just hip height, toes facing down, foot flexed, hip flexor facing your mat. Good. Try not to open that hip. If you open and stack hips, you might fall to the left. So really keep that hip flexor and the toes facing down. Good. If that leg is lifted, slowly bring that right knee back to meet the left. Walk the right palms back underneath the right shoulder. Press through it as you lift that left arm back up high to the sky. Same thing, if you took those big shoulder circles on the first side, do it here again on the second. Try to stay as even as we can, as long as your body will allow them. Good. Then I want you to come back to your neutral tabletop. I want you to tuck your toes. I just want you to start by sitting your glutes back towards your heels. I don't know how this feels for you, but I get a pretty big stretch in my Achilles and in the bottom of my foot. I should say the bottom of my feet, both of them. And then you can even just lift the knees a couple of inches. Continue this same movement. And then whenever you're ready, we'll start to lower the heels and lift the hips, finding our first downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, we're making that upside down V. Your head and neck should be in line with your spine. Make sure the fingers are nice and spread. Think about drawing the heels closer to the earth. It's okay if they don't touch. Take any movements you need. Maybe pedal out the feet here. Maybe a gentle shake of the head, yes or no. Okay, just listen to your body and see what feels good here. Take any movements that your body naturally wants to, or find stillness if that's what you're seeking today. But whatever you're doing, try to even out so we're nice and centered. Good. And then we're going to take a nice slow walk, one small step at a time to the top of the mat, meeting in a forward fold. Uttanasana. Forward fold. Good. Let the arms and the head hang heavy here. Let gravity do the work. And again, a little bend in the back of the knees is perfectly fine. Maybe you want to take a deep bend for a minute. Let the body hang and slowly start to straighten out. Maybe you bend one knee at a time and sway a little bit again. Don't worry about what anything looks like. Just listen to your body and honor how things feel. No one's there watching you. One of the advantages of being at home, right? So don't worry about what anything looks like. On our next inhale breath, let's take that halfway lift. So come to a flat back, palms come to the shins. And on the exhale, refold, creating a little space here. I don't know about you guys, my hamstrings after this week of working out are really tight. So I'm getting a nice big stretch just hanging here today. Put some other hamstring stretches in too, because I don't know if you guys are feeling the same as I am, but I am feeling some tight hammies today. Good. Let's start to slowly rise one vertebrae at a time. Don't move too fast. Inhale, arms come out and up for our upward salute. Maybe a gentle back bend if that's in your practice. Good. Part the hands, swan dive back and slowly into that forward fold. Good. Hopefully each time we revisit this, it becomes a little more comfortable, a little bit more accessible. Let's plant the palms. Let's step back one leg at a time to find our high plank pose. We're going to move very slowly through kind of a modified flow. So take an inhale breath to prepare. Exhale, we're going to slowly lower. Halfway through chaturanga, except this time we're actually going to come all the way down. So let the hips hit the ground, untuck the toes, separate the feet, mats with distance. Let's press through those palms, find a high cobra. The wider the feet, the less intensely you'll feel this on your lower back. Good. Make sure the shoulders are away from the ears. Let's take a quick glance over the right shoulder, get into the neck a little bit. Slowly coming through center. Let's take that glance over to the left. Coming back center for one more moment. Good. And just very quickly for a breath or two, let's come into a child's pose. So bring the toes together to touch the back. Knees are out wide. Glutes back toward the heels, forehead to the mat. This is our most common resting pose in yoga. We're only here for a moment, but if you need a child's pose at any point, you can come to this. If you need a little break. Let's come back to our tabletop pose. Getting ready to move through some standing sequences. Hopefully you're nice and warm. Let's tuck the toes, lift the hips, downward facing dog. Picking up the pace a little bit here, but if you need to take some movements, by all means, go for it. And when you're ready, right leg's gonna lift high to the sky. Three-legged dog, doesn't really matter how high it comes. Let's keep those hips square to start. Let the head hang heavy. Good, right knee's gonna come into the right nose with that angry cat back. Hover for just a moment. And then slowly and with control, step that right foot between the hands, finding a low lunge. So right foot's fully connected, high on the left toes. Fingertips can stay down. I'm going to grab my blocks just to show you. It's a great pose for some blocks, just to bring the earth a little closer so you don't compromise your alignment. Good, so low lunge here. Just take one more breath. Nice deep bend in that right leg. We'll get a little relief in just a second. Good. Let's drop that left knee, untuck the left toes, interlace the hands on top of that right knee, and gently guide the hips forward and down into our crescent lunge. Nice big stretch on that left hip flexor. Good. Try to keep the chest and shoulder and hip points square toward the front. And then we're going to frame out the right foot with the hands as we straighten the right leg, keeping the glute away from the heel here. We're nice and lifted. We're not leaning back. The movement is the fold forward. Left toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels better for you. So you can even draw those right toes back toward the face a little bit. Another big hamstring stretch here. Now, you have the option. We're going to move through these poses in a little bit of a moving meditation back and forth, or you can choose to hold each one once more for a little bit longer. But if you want to kind of move with me, we're going to come into that crescent lunge. Now, again, you have the option to hold this, or we're going to kind of move back and forth between that and that half runner stretch or half split. Okay, and I'm kind of moving back and forth between the two. Take this at your pace. Nice active stretch here. So again, you can hold either one for a longer time, or you can just take this moving meditation with me. Good, I'm going to visit that runner stretch one more time. Good, so whatever you need to do to kind of even out. If you were holding one, hold the second. Good. And I'm going to start to come out of this, planting the sole of the right foot. Left hand plants to the inside. Peel that right arm up high to the sky for our modified easy twist. Modified just means that left knee is down. Good, get the twist first. And then we're going to tuck the left toes, lift that knee so we're in our traditional easy twisted lunge. Good, stack those shoulders. Gaze can be up at the right hand or down toward the left, whatever feels better on your neck. One more breath here. Good, then I'm going to bring that right hand to the inside of the right foot or even to a block. Let's spin on the left side of the foot so the toes are facing outward as I peel the left arm up high to the sky for extended side angle. If this is too much, bring that right forearm to the thigh. Okay, yeah, those options here. So we're facing the opposite side now. Good, stacking shoulders, nice deep bend in that right leg. We're only here for one more breath. You have a straight leg pose coming up next, so get that nice deep bend. Good, and then simultaneously as you straighten that right leg, lift the top body, and let's bring it back for our peaceful triangle. So right bicep frames out the right ear, left toes facing the side, right toes facing forward. Good. See if you can reach back a little bit further, get a nice side body stretch. And then we'll spiral those hands down to frame out the right foot. Bump up the left foot a little bit and plant it on a 45 so the toes are facing the top left corner. And fold over that front leg for your pyramid pose. Good, making sure that we have straight legs and square hips. To help with that, I know my hips want to open here. Let's take a halfway lift on the inhale. Plug that right hip back, roll the left hip forward, maybe bump up the left foot if you need to. And then the exhale breath folding back down. Good, maybe if you want to get a little deeper, you can walk the hands to the outside of this right foot. Good, try to get the chest and the face close to that right leg for one more breath. Good, walking back, so both hands are to the inside this time of the right foot. Let's start to shimmy that left foot to the back of the mat and heel toe the right foot to the outer edge of the mat for our lizard. We're not here super long. We're going to stay in this lunge and just take a couple gentle rocks back and forth off the left toes. Feel the hips start to open and release. Hopefully, that's the goal, right? And then we're going to step that right leg back to meet the left. Now, you guys know whenever I call a flow, it's optional. You can hold this plank. You can go right back to down dog. If you want to take a flow with me, inhale. On your exhale, lower halfway, arms nice and close to the body. Inhale, find your back bend of choice. I'm sticking with this high cobra today, but you could take a low cobra or an upward facing dog. And then rolling back over the toes, meeting back in downward facing dog. second side of those same poses. Even though we know where we're going, we're going to take our time here. Good. When you're ready, left leg lifts for that three-legged dog. Make sure the hips are square. The knee comes in toward the nose. Hover. Angry cat back. High on the right toes. And then with control, we step that left foot in between the hands, finding our low lunge. Good. Making sure that our alignment is set here. We're high on the right toes. Left foot's fully connected. Make sure you're not resting the top body. You can keep the fingers down or hands to blocks. Good. One more breath, and then we're going to lower that knee. Good. So you can slowly start to lower that right knee. Interlace the hands on top of the left knee as you sink forward and down into your crescent lunge. Nice big hip flexor stretch. Good. Settle in here. Don't force anything, but you want to gently get a little deeper into this hip flexor stretch. Good. Feel free if you need to move that left foot forward or that right knee back to get a little bit deeper here. Sometimes those little micro adjustments make a big difference. Getting ready to transition into that half runner stretch. Let's frame out the left foot with the hands. Straighten out the left leg. Keeping the hip away from the heel. Lowering the chest over that left leg. Ooh, nice and tight today. Ugh. That right foot can be tucked or untucked, whatever feels better for you. Some people like to tuck it to help with the balance. I find it to be more comfortable untucked, but there's no right or wrong. Either variation is safe. Good. Now you guys know, again, if you want to hit each pose one more time, the crescent and the runner's lunge, which we're in now, and hold them, you can. I'm going to start to move through both as I transition. I'm still not going fast, but I'm not holding either one. I'm kind of taking this more as an active recovery, transitioning between this crescent lunge and this half runner stretch or half split. So again, take this at your pace, whatever serves you better. Good. We're still, even if we're moving between one to the other, we're not moving fast. We're taking this nice and slowly. And I'm going to hit each one more time, so pace yourself accordingly if you're holding. This is going to be my final runner stretch. And I'm going to bring the sole of my left foot back to the earth. Right hand plants inside. Peel that left arm up, stacking shoulders for a gentle, modified, easy twist. Good. Really focus on the twist from the core first. And then we'll tuck the right toes as we lift the right knee, coming into our traditional easy twist. Good. Stack shoulders for one more breath. And then we're going to turn it to the other side. So left hand to the inside of the left foot. Plant the sole of the right foot as you peel that right arm up high to the sky. This is our extended side angle. Again, you have the option, if that's a little too much, to bring the hand to a block or the forearm to the thigh. Good. See if you get a little bit deeper for one more full breath, whichever variation you're in. You know, we have straight legs next. So really give it everything you've got. And then simultaneously, we straighten out left leg as we bring the top body back for our peaceful triangle. Straight legs, leaning toward the back, left bicep frames out the left ear. See if you can walk those fingertips down that right leg a little bit further. Good, one more full breath here. And then we're going to cartwheel the hands down to frame out the left foot, bump up the right foot a little bit, plant it on a 45. Find your alignment for your pyramid pose. Straight legs, square hips, top body folded over that front left leg. I want to take that halfway lift nice and early again. So inhale for the halfway lift. Plug that left hip back. Rotate the right hip forward so the hips are square. And exhale, breath, fold. If you did so on the first side, you can even walk the hands to the outer edge of the left foot for a couple of breaths if that felt okay. Just hits the back of that leg a little bit differently. But really let your top body and your head hang heavy here. Trying to get the chest closer to the thigh. Good. Coming back center for our final breath in our pyramid pose. And then we're going to hit that lizard. So hands to the inside, heel toe that left foot to the outer edge, and step that right foot to the back of the mat. Lizard lunge. Good. Couple rocks back and forth. And then we're going to take that left leg, step it back to meet the right. We're in our high plank pose. If you're taking your flow, we'll move through it together. If not, you can hold this plank or go back to down dog. If you're flowing, lower halfway through chaturanga. Find your back bend of choice. And then we'll meet back in downward facing dog. Take a quick breath. We have one more standing sequence, a little bit of balance work here. I think it'll be a pretty quick one. Okay, so right leg lifts high to the sky, three-legged dog. Knee comes into the nose. We step the right foot between the hands, finding that low lunge. Have your blocks close by if you have them. We're going to kick that left leg just hip height for a modified warrior three. So try to keep the chest as lifted as you can. Hip flexor facing the ground, left foot flex. Good. See if you can lift that chest a little higher for one more breath. Great place for blocks under the hands if you need it. And then step forward, fold. Slowly, one vertebrae at a time, we're going to rise to stand. I'm going to back up just so you can see me. So we're getting to a little bit of balance work here. So bring the weight into your right foot. Left knee is going to come into the chest. I like to bring my hands to prayer with balancing. Good. Catch your balance first. Don't hold your breath. Find your dristi, something that's not moving. And then we're going to start with Krishna. So left leg wraps around, left knee behind the right, onto the ball of the left toes as you sink down. Top body still tall through the chest. Good. So you get a little bit lower for one more breath. Good. Slowly and with control, we bring that left knee back into the chest. Good. Cross that left ankle on top of that right knee. Open up that hip first, and then see if you can sink a little lower into your half chair. So this is a big hip stretch, big balance and strength on the right leg. Find your dristi, keep breathing for one more breath. Good, slowly with control, left knee back into the chest. We're gonna start to step all the way to the back of the mat, finding our high lunge. Good. One more pose here, kind of a big one to wrap it out. If you have a block, you can grab it. Hands are gonna come down. Right hand to about 1 or 2 o'clock. You can start with this modified warrior three again, but we're gonna find half moon. So left hand's gonna come to the left hip as you stack hips, stack shoulders, flex that left foot, and then left arm can peel up high to the sky. This is Ardha Chandrasana, half moon. I'm gonna give you a side view if anyone needs a visual. One of my favorite poses. Good. If you're here, one more full breath. Good. Left hand's going to come down. Left foot's going to step back to that low lunge. If you're flowing, right leg steps back to meet the left. Inhale. Exhale, we lower halfway. Inhale, back bend of choice. You can move right through these at your own pace. Just make sure you're moving with your breath. Back up to downward facing dog. For our final side of standing poses, working on that balance, that focus. The left leg lifts high to the sky. Knee comes into the nose. Step that left foot between the hands for our low lunge. We're really just here as a transition. If you want to grab your blocks or get your peace fingers down as we shift and lift into that modified warrior three. Good. In this modified three, we don't want to be in a forward fold. We want to keep the chest as lifted as we can. So we're almost in a straight line from our head to our right foot. Right hip flexor is facing down, toes are facing down. One more breath. And then step that right foot to meet the left. You're in that forward fold. And slowly we rise to stand. Good. Again, I'm going to back up so you can see me. Shake it out if you need to a little bit. Weight comes into the left foot this time. Hands to prayer. Find your dristi. A dristi, again, something really small that you can just stare at that's not moving. Draw that right knee into the chest. Flex the foot. Good. Catch your balance. Right knee comes behind the left. on the ball of the right foot, and then you sink down into your Krishna, or your curtsy lunge, sometimes it's called at the gym. Good, see if you can sink a little bit lower. Feel the quads and the hips and glutes really engage here. Good, slowly and with control. Right knee comes back into the chest. Good, right ankle on top of the left knee. Open that right knee to the side as you sink into your half chair. Ooh. If you fall out of it, you just get right back into it, just like life, right guys? See if you can sink a little bit lower. Good, final breath here. Slowly with control, we start to bring that right knee back into the chest, taking that big step back, finding our high lunge. Good. Now we're only really here as a transition as we lower the hands to frame out the left foot. Finding that half moon, if you want your block, this time it's going to go onto the left hand at about 10 or 11 o'clock if we're looking at a clock face. Shift and lift, start with that modified 3, right hand to the right hip as you stack hips and open. Good, and then once you catch your balance, right arm peels up high to the sky for your half moon. Ardha Chandrasana. Good, again, find a dristi, something you can stare at. Good, don't hold your breath, we're here for one more full breath. Good, right hand lowers. Right foot steps to the back. We're in our low lunge. For the final time, left leg steps back to meet the right. If you want to move through your flow, lower halfway through Chaturanga. Finding your back bend. And downward facing dog. Good, and actually let's just start to walk the hands toward the feet at the back of the mat. And then we're actually going to come to sit as you extend your legs out long in front of you. Whew, hard part's behind us. If you want to grab a drink, you certainly can take a sip of water, whatever else you're drinking this morning. We're going to get into some final grounding stretches before we find our final rest. So take a nice deep breath. Release it. Good. Okay, so let's bring the left leg out to the side. We're going to bring the sole of the right foot somewhere inside along that left leg, preparing for Janu Shirshasana. Inhale the arms overhead. Square the body to face that left leg. And on your exhale breath, gently fold forward. Reaching for the knee, the shin, the foot, whatever's available. If you are very open, you want to extend that. I have short legs. You can even put a block to the end of your foot. Make sure that this right knee is not lifting here, because not only is this a big hamstring stretch, but it's also a big opener for your lower back. Another area where we tend to store a lot of tightness and tension. So you have the option to stay exactly as you are, but I'm going to give you another slight variation in this pose. You can start to lift the top body just halfway, and rather than folding chest to thigh, you can take a nice side body option by bringing that right arm over the right ear. Good, again, really ground that right sits bone. You'll feel this less in the hamstring and more along the side body. Good, wherever you are, let's take one more full breath. Good, we're going to lift out of this slowly. We're going to come into Stargazer. So right hand's going to plant behind my right glute. And I'm going to start to shift and lift. So I'm lifting my hips up. Weight comes onto the right shin. Left arm reaches up high to the sky. Nice, big, beautiful stretch. And then we slowly lower back down. And we're going to find our pigeon pose by bringing that left leg around behind. Good. Keeping that right leg bent. And then you guys know if a traditional pigeon is too much, you can bend both legs coming into like a 90-90 here. You can stay lifted. You can lower. You have so many options. There is no right or wrong option as long as what you choose feels okay for you. There might be a little bit of discomfort as you kind of ease in and settle in, but you shouldn't be truly feeling pain here. And only you know the difference. If you're in a traditional pigeon, you can come to the forearms. You can come all the way to the forehead if that's available. Hips should be nice and open at this point in our practice. But still, just take a few minutes to settle in here. We're not going to rush anything. Make sure you're using your breath. Your breath is your most important tool here, because when you start to find some of these deeper stretches, if your body starts to resist them, you kind of go into that fight or flight. And if you can use your breath to stay calm, it will allow you to find a deeper variation of this pose without getting too tense or stressing the body. Taking just a few more breaths here in this pigeon, or whatever variation you have. Good. If you are onto the forehead or the forearm, starting to come back to the hands, moving slowly, and then coming back to the sits bones, and we're going to move through those 3 poses on the opposite side. So extending the right leg this time, bending the left leg, so the left foot somewhere to the inside of that right leg. Good. Inhale, the arms come up straight overhead, square the top body. On the exhale, fold. So bringing the chest closer to the thigh here. Good. And again, try not to let that left knee or hip lift, because yes, this is a hamstring stretch, but we really want to get this opening in this lower back area as well. Breathing through any tension or tightness. Good. Taking a few more breaths here. If you want to find that side body variation, if you did so on the first side, you're just going to stack shoulders, open up the chest area, and left arm reaches over the head toward the right leg. Good. Getting a nice big stretch along the rib cage, maybe through the shoulder, maybe even into the hip a little bit here. Good. Whichever variation you're in, taking your final few breaths here. Good. Last breath, and then we'll slowly start to lift out of this. Good. Left hand plants behind that left glute. And we're going to lift for our stargazer. So pressing through that left palm, lifting the hips. Another big hip flexor stretch. Good. Shine your heart. And then slowly lowering, finding your variation of pigeon. So again, 90-90 here with 2 bent legs. You can stay lifted or you can lower from here. Or if you have a traditional pigeon, extending that right leg behind you. Ooh, this leg for me, this side feels much tighter than the first. If you have a block, you can stick it underneath that left glute. If you have, I love a couch pillow too if you're home, or a blanket. But make any adjustments you need to. Right toe should be untucked. That leg should be extended long behind you if you're in a traditional pigeon. Again, you can keep the top body lifted. You can come to forearms. Or if it's available to you, you can come all the way extended to the forehead. Whatever variation you choose. Just close the eyes. Settle in. Breathe. Good. A few more moments here. Let's take our last few breaths in this pigeon pose. And then very slowly starting to lift out of this. Good. Bring the legs out in front of you into our staff pose where we started. I'm going to turn to the side so you can see me. And we're just going to take a really nice, slow and controlled decline all the way onto our backs. Feel the core engage. Don't rush it. Good. All the way onto your backs where we started. Now, before we find our final resting pose, if there's any other stretches or movements that your body needs, feel free to take them. Maybe it's just hugging the knees in. Maybe you want to revisit that waterfall or the bridge from beginning of class. If you have another inversion, you're welcome to take it here. Maybe a happy baby or another spinal twist. Again, listen to your body. You have a few moments here just to kind of explore and play and give it whatever it needs that maybe I didn't call today. Good. So final few breaths of Yogi's Choice. And if there's nothing you really want to do, you can come into an early Shavasana because we're all going to meet there in just a few moments. Good. So if there's anything you need to do to even out here. Good. And then preparing for final Shavasana, if there's anything you need to do before you find your final resting pose, maybe you want to turn out the lights, grab a sip of water, change the music. If you are listening along with me, we have a couple of songs that I'm going to move to the very last song called Horizon, our Shavasana song. So back where we started on our backs. Take a really nice deep cleansing breath to help settle in here. So inhale through the nose, fill all the way up, and open mouth, big slow release. Good, settling into your Shavasana. Trying to find some stillness here. Focusing on your breath. Maybe even bringing a hand to the chest and the belly and feeling the breath, feel the heartbeat, feeling the body rise and fall. That will help keep you grounded and present. If you feel your mind wandering, coming back to that idea of feeling grateful or gratitude towards something, or maybe even at this point thinking about an intention for your day or your week ahead, as you take a final few moments in your resting pose. Slow and steady, full inhales and exhales. Giving yourself permission to slow down for just a few moments out of your entire day. And if your day will allow you to spend some more time here, please do so. If you're ready to come out of this, let's just take a few more breaths, and then we'll slowly start to come out of our rest. Very slowly and gently start to bring some attention back to your body. Maybe take some small movements like wiggling the fingers or the toes, nothing too big. We don't want to disturb the peace that we hopefully just created. Just take a nice full body stretch. So bring the legs together to touch, point the toes, extend the arms overhead, suck in that belly, and feel a really nice long line of energy all the way from the fingertips to the toes. Good. Let's hug the knees into the chest, curling up into a little ball. Now whenever you're ready, rolling over onto your right side, finding fetal pose. Good, no rush at all. Using your left hand for some support, just gently guide yourself up into a seated position. Finding easy seat, doesn't matter which leg's in front, we're only here for a moment. Nice and tall through the spine and through the core. Palms can face up or down or meet at prayer heart center. Let's end class with one collective breath. Take a nice deep inhale. Fill all the way up. Open mouth, let it go. Thank you all so much for joining me, for allowing me to be your guide. The light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you guys so much. Hope you're all making the most of this dreary weekend. And I will see you all soon.